Next, let us look at an interesting concept called schema. Jean Piaget says that schema is the basic building block of intelligent behavior. Now, what is a schema? Schema is nothing but a way of organizing knowledge. Think of it as a filing system, because whenever you have any existing knowledge, you have stored it in the form of a schema in your brain. And whenever you get any new information, you are either going to add it to an existing schema or you are going to create a new schema for that. So schema is nothing but an idea or a way of understanding what things are and how do they fit with each other and how are they connected to each other. You must have come across diagrams like this. This is called a schematic diagram. In a schematic diagram, you have different components and there is a pathway to show how these different components are connected to each other. If I were to give you a real life example, look at this picture. As soon as you see this, you are able to identify that this is a plug. You know that this will be at the end of a long wire and it is associated with an electrical device. And you also know that this plug has to be put into an electrical socket and has to be switched on for the device to work. So how do you know all of this? Just by looking at one picture. That is because the first time that you used a device with a plug like this, you have stored the information about the various parts of the device, including information about the plug, in a schema in your brain. So you have stored it in the form of a schematic diagram in your brain. You know where does this component come in the device and what is it used for. So that way you have organized the information about a plug in your brain. So that is the concept of schema. This is another example of how we use a schema in our daily life. Suppose I'm going in a market and while walking on the road, I feel hungry. So what should I do? Should I just stand there and think to myself that I'm feeling hungry? No, what I will do is I will look for restaurants around me. Right? And once I go into the restaurant, I just can't directly start eating food. Right? I know that first I have to see the menu. And after seeing the menu, I have to decide and then I have to place an order and then I will receive the food. And after eating the food, I just can't directly exit. What I have to do next is I have to receive the bill. I have to go to the counter and pay the bill. So how do I know so many things that are associated with this feeling of feeling hungry? That is because all of these are things that I have done in the past. Maybe somebody took me to a restaurant when I was a kid. And I saw people looking at the menu and ordering food. I know I must have seen my parents receiving the bill, going to the counter and paying the bill. So all these bits and pieces of information that I have assimilated or acquired over a long period of time, I have stored all this information in the form of a schema. So the next time I feel hungry, I see a restaurant, I know what are all the steps that I need to follow. So this is how the concept of schema is used on our day-to-day life. Next, let us talk about Jean Piaget's process of adaptation. Piaget says that whenever we come across a new situation, we start with a state of disequilibrium and then we assimilate some new knowledge or we accommodate some new knowledge and then we reach a stage of equilibration. For example, if I have traveled only by bus or train, then I know that I need to buy a ticket, then I need to go to the bus stand or the railway station and board the bus or the train. So that is my current schema. Now when I go to the airport for the first time, then I'm stopped at the gate because I need to produce an ID proof. And that is a state of disequilibrium because my existing schema does not allow me to deal with the situation. And when I get into the airport, I have to do the check-in, I have to get a boarding pass, I have to get the baggage tag, I have to go through the security check. So all these are new things that I have not done in the past. Therefore, this new situation is leading to disequilibrium. And then I assimilate some new knowledge into my current schema because my current schema says that tickets are enough to travel. But when I'm boarding the plane for the first time, I know that ID proof and check-in and boarding pass, all these are also required. So I'm adding this information also into my current schema. Next, I also accommodate some new knowledge into my existing schema. For example, my existing schema says that I can carry anything that I want in my baggage because when I'm going into a bus or boarding a train, nobody's checking my hand baggage. But when I'm going in a flight, I have to make sure that I'm not carrying any power banks in the hand baggage. I have to make sure that I'm not carrying any sharp objects in my hand baggage. So I have to accommodate, or I have to change my current schema, which says that I can carry anything. I have to change it to tell myself that these are things that I cannot carry in my hand baggage if I'm traveling by flight. Therefore, I assimilate some information and I accommodate some information. And after that, I reach a stage of equilibration, because the second time that I travel, I have gone through all of this in the first time. So I know what needs to be done. So I am not in a state of disequilibrium, right? I am in a state of equilibration because now I'm an experienced traveler. So Piaget's process of adaptation says that whenever we come across a new situation, then we go into disequilibration, and then we have to assimilate some knowledge or accommodate some knowledge, and then we reach a stage of equilibration.